So hey anime fans, the series name is What If Naruto Got Harem with My Hero Academia. So let's start the series. You should never allow you to monitor down while on the job. Grr. Or probably it could spell almost certain doom for you, rough. That was the words expressed by the hunting canine legend. Dog canine who drove the way on a bustling blanketed road of regular people for one specific rabbit, or all the more so legend in preparing. Not at all like him wearing his Norma Legend uniform. The other wore a hotter Legend outfit that had stockings with different connections, while light snow tumbled from above, with said Legend having a grin stuck to her face. Loaded up with only certainty. Definitely, no doubt. A grin was stuck all over. As legends, we have to continuously be ready for the most terrible. Besides, her grin developed as her right clench hand was gotten by her left hand. Any lowlifes that challenge to begin something will in a flash think twice about it. The legend only gestures at her words, consenting to them while his understudy was giving little waves to the children that had passed by her with their folks. Name: Rumi Usajiyama / legend name. Bunny legend. Mirko / age. 16 / understudy. UA High School. Rough. That is the very thing I need to hear. With a gesture he drives the way, both still on the lookout. As a legend, in a moment Mirko had frozen completely still, similarly as Dog Canine did, not at all like everybody strolling as though everything was ordinary. The two had been forced to bear a quality that their creature's faculties were being overwhelmed by, a sensation of fear and sheer despondency that made the canine legend tumble to his knees as his creature impulses were shouting at him however much they were at Mirko. Yet in contrast to the canine, the hare then again marshaled up a flimsy grin. Whatever is making my hare endurance impulses go off the deep end? Right away she got on it. Should be an exceptionally risky miscreant. Bouncing from her spot and away from the legend preparing her. Towards a back street she entered, hopping on the walls to speed up, where she flew out from it, where she found seeing a vehicle having hit a utility pole that fortunately didn't fall. Remaining close to the vehicle was a man who had a removed entryway close to him, and he was arriving at inside the vehicle. Bad guy. She was at that point sending off herself straight for the figure who was assisting an old man with getting out, his back turned towards her while she was raising her right leg, stunning the rare sorts of people who saw this as she shut in. However, at that point the individual had quickly turned, taking in front of him blonde spiky hair, bristle makes, red ice, and nothing as her awareness blurs. In the moment she visually connected with the individual, he had gotten over her kick, as though smacking a fly rapidly that made it appear as though she had missed prior to having her face slam into the stop sign, making many jump as they soon enough watch her slide down, now oblivious as she hit the ground. The blondie man gazing at the rabbit in disarray, very much like the old regular citizen. The damnation is continuing today, he murmured while relinquishing the one who was currently out of his vehicle, noticeably shaking at the reality. He nearly hit somebody, yet the man appeared to be unaffected as he put the young lady against the vehicle, confounded why she went after Mirko. The yell came from the rear entryway as the two men went to see the dog legend abandoning every one of the fours, going to see, seeing her oblivious close to the two gazing at her, and approaches them, presently full alert as he saw the man which the blondie talked. You mind explaining to me why she out of nowhere gone after me? This question confounded the legend, yet his eyes tight, as he most likely is aware. He was the wellspring of that perniciousness at this point. Likewise at the reality he knew who the very man was, looking as he went to the driver. Since a legend is here, I'll pass on you to let him know what occurred. Subsequent to saying that, he goes to take a gander at the legend, who was noticeably shaken as he lifts his right hand that was totally bound and allows it to lay on his shoulder. As a legend, watch out for your understudy. That was everything that was expressed as he eliminates his hands and starts leaving with his hands going in his pockets while the legend, who in the event that he might have been perspiring as of now and goes to take a gander at Mirko, who was oblivious, moaning to himself. "It's great seeing you once more, Tucci," the light-haired man said while he sat at a ramen cafe, just having sufficient space to fit 7 individuals with there being no food except for the folds. Contrasted with the blonde who looked as though he were in his late 20s, the proprietor was in his 60s. "It has, Naruto." A bowl and chopsticks were set before him. "It's been close to 12 months since you last came. How have things been on Nabu Island?" The man gets his chopsticks and stuck them in his noodles. "Tranquil to the surprise of no one, exactly the way in which I like it." With that, he put the noodles in his mouth and started to gulp them until he was come by a blast occurring behind him. Amazing the two as Naruto simply goes to be met with seeing one irritated rabbit high schooler. "Tracked down you, you light jerk," she yelled while pointing at the one who was sweat dropping in dismay while the proprietor simply takes a gander at the ramen eater. "How did you respond?" "Only watched her stumble into a stop sign." Promptly the young lady hops directly at the blonde while swinging her right leg, planning to convey a roundhouse kick to take him out as well as restitution, yet in a moment the man had moved by utilizing his passed-on arm to effortlessly hinder the kick, making her eyes extend as his demeanor stayed uninvolved as he moved his arm to get her leg and raise it, driving to adjust on her other leg. "You think that will stop me?" She does a twist and swung her other leg at his face, yet he didn't move an inch to answer, previously or after the kick connected, making her simply gaze in dismay as her kick just only squeezed into his neck while he just gazed at her. "Done," was all he said as he relinquishes her leg, and in a moment he moves, having gotten behind her without her in any event, acknowledging it before a solitary slash made her fall, yet was gotten by Naruto, who just moans as he strolls over to Tucci, putting her down on the seat. "Call Yue what's more. Let them in on you," tracked down their understudy. In the wake of saying that, he turns his back to the proprietor. "I'm speculating the main way we can have a decent visit is on the off chance that I got away on Nabu Island. Right?" A sneer was acquired from the blonde. "I'm the one accountable for guarding every one of the creatures. As you probably are aware, with them having eccentricities, they are continuously attempting to be poached and sold." He pivots and waves. "Be that as it may, no doubt. Come visit the island whenever and we can have a decent talk. And not so quick." This made Naruto's eyes broaden a bit and goes to see the young lady was conscious. A little insecure, yet standing prepared as a reasonable grin was noticeable all over. "Don't even to contemplate strolling off." She was hushed at the man unexpectedly getting before her with unrivaled speed, making her eyes enlarge as she admires meet his look before he stoops a little to be about her eye level. "Need to say, you amazed me. Didn't expect you would be up unexpectedly early." This made her flicker in disarray while Naruto grins and stands up directly to peer down at her. "So what's your name?" It required her a couple of moments to enroll all that has occurred and show him a sure grin while pointing at him. "I'm the hair legend Mirko." Her right initial rams into her left palm. "What's more, I'm the lady that will show you who don't play with." Hearing something like this, a little laugh gets away from his lips, astonishing the young lady and causing her to feel humiliated at this point that goes to disarray as he pivots. "Once more we should meet, maybe one day." And without another word, he was gone by a puff of smoke. After 14 years, at the docks of Nabu Island. "All right, everybody gathered as you've trained," yelled Tenya, who had saluted to a solitary instructor remaining before the sum of Class 1A, who were chosen for an extraordinary task that they weren't precisely educated about, more so as yet attempting to sort out what precisely they got over here, with the exception of the single reality that remaining before them was the single supportive of legend who accepted up the position, yet made it more sketchy as it was, in all honesty, Mirko, the hair legend who remained with her clenched hands on her hips. Right now, Momo at long last made some noise while lifting her hand to acquire the hair legend's consideration. We actually haven't been explained why we as a whole got over here? Her inquiry only got her certain grin while she broadened her right arm towards the island, showing a lot of plant life, structures close to the harbor, and ships surrounding them along the ocean side. To start with, how much do you are familiar this island? Her inquiry shocked the gathering as they took a gander at one another until Koji unexpectedly lifted a hand, acquiring her consideration. Okay, Koda, I accept? Her inquiry was trailed by an anxious gesture as he made some noise. This is Nabu Island. The couple of understudies who didn't have the foggiest idea about the name were amazed as they too acknowledged it. Known to be a segregated and serene little island, yet in addition used to safeguard jeopardized creatures brought into the world with idiosyncrasies from being poached. A gesture from the rabbit legend was given while she goes to confront the island. Precisely, Class 1A. She focuses at them. You all will remain here for a long time instead of the experts getting some much needed rest to see their families, as opposed to the following movement. Your work will be to fill in their positions, for example, helping the regular folks that live on the island and the creatures harping on it also. You will not be completely without anyone else, as it was concluded that since I'm generally acquainted with the island, I would be going about as your educator till you return to school. This got a response as many grinned and siphoned their clenched hands up high in festival of this. Astounding! We get to accomplish real legend work. No doubt. How about we go? This will be perfect. Notwithstanding the celebrating, a couple didn't grin as they viewed this more in a serious way, which Mirko observed Katsuki, Izuku, and Shoto prior to pivoting with the others going to see her back. Regardless of me being in control, I'm just going to be here in the event something startling occurs. So for the present, all of you will depend on one another and sort out the issues. She took out her telephone. At this point, you will all have the bearings message to you alongside the positions should have been filled in, presently with everything that expressed and done. She stops at seeing Ijiro lifting his hand with a look of disarray upon his face as he began pointing at something. Definitely spiky. Her grin in a flash wavers and jerks upon hearing a yell. Mother! In a moment, Mirko turns in shock to find one dear baby running towards her. A youngster having tan skin, red eyes that are shifted somewhat inwards, spiky white hair that seems to have developed down past his neck. And Nozomu, what are you doing here? You ought to accompany your sister. And immediately she froze and gradually goes to see the whole class gazing at her a whole. That is no joke? Denki yelled in shock, a lot to her shock. However, eventually, she moans boisterously and turns while setting the kid down. Definitely. I'm a mother. What's it to ya? She gave a glare that made them generally shut up while Katsuki began to perspire as she helped him to remember his mom. All looking as she was scratching her head with a pained articulation, however murmurs once more and goes to check her child out. Nozomu, for what reason did you come here without anyone else? She was marginally befuddled. Where's your dad at? The youngster just gazed at her prior to turning upward with a finger on his jaw. Father's managing Arnold once more. This made her facepalm in understanding. That damn feline again, huh? Come on, we should go see your daddy. This made him light up as he takes his mom's hand and leads the way, which she goes to view at them all as they were all the while remaining in a similar spot. Do I need to kick all of you for sure? Follow me. You'll meet him before the day's over one way or the other since he's the one responsible for tasks including imperiled creatures. This shocked the gathering, yet in the end they trailed behind her, letting her lead the way, and that being a house situated close to a gigantic enclosure. The legend simply takes in the sights of the oceanside, more structures, backwoods, and the extremely recognizable gigantic enclosure in the forested region that she observed as being where the creatures that have issues controlling their eccentricities go until they ace it or become an over-the-top risk to individuals around them. Grrrr. A profound snarl exudes from the little pup's eyes confined close to her, acquiring an irritated look from her as she looks at it and lifts it. It should be wearing off at this point. I want to hustle. In a moment, Mirko's ear jerked as she felt peril out of nowhere and goes quick to find something standing, overshadowing her, which she gazes upward to be welcomed by a human feline-like beast with light-shaded fur. He has level stripes across his back and tail and 3 vertical stripes that cross his brow to the rear of his head. Who are you? This caused the feline's eyes excessively thin, making Mirko more prepared for battle as she grins as she watches the feline beast slant its head before eyes extend and taps its head, befuddling Mirko prior to something flew over her head, and arriving close to the feline was a tall bird that looks like a phoenix of sorts. It had enormous green eyes, red and gold quills, and purple tail feathers. On its head was a kind of official's cap, and in its mouth was another. Left this back at base, Nyan. The feline takes the cap. Supervisor continues to instruct you to avoid that. You recollect what occurred with the last vehicle, don't you? Right now, Nyan puts the cap on and shrugs. Genuinely empty head. The feline and the bird start to walk, passing by the unmoving Mirko. I was placed in control to observe any gatecrashers, not my shortcoming, my cap. He was halted when the two heard a yell and go to take a gander at the irritated Mirko, who scowls at them, setting the enclosure down prior to pointing at them. Who in the world are both of you? Her interest and the steel look she had made the two gander at one another before back at her. Security. Bologna. She punches her clenched hand into her palm. Both of you don't emit any gallant vibe. That was vindictiveness I felt from ya. Her allegation made the bird take a gander at the feline, who out of nowhere laughs a short time, taking care of his head timidly. Oh no. To this end he criticizes you a ton. You make kids cry. Mirko simply grins until the three heard a blast occurring with the ground shaking, and with that she felt it. Turning gradually, she was met with the bits of the enclosure having detonated to uncover a huge monster that didn't seem to be a creature yet a beast. It was altogether dark with 6 eyes, every one ruby in variety. Its mouth uncovered enormous teeth, and its feet had 4 toes for every paw. Its fur is extremely shaggy and messed up. It had no tongue, ears, or nose. Grower. As it snarled out of frustration, Mirko's eyes slender while going to confront the monster. Poop, it took all could to keep that thing in. She stops to see it opening its throat to uncover a light, which cautions Mirko as she understood what that implied, and quickly goes to go after until she felt it, an intimately acquainted feeling that made the bird and feline freeze alongside the monster to shut down all activities of assault as it gradually gazed upward, as though seeing the type of what was valid ghastliness, genuine malevolence. Mirko lacked the ability to move her body, as she also was impacted until it cut off, which she wakes up to see the monster had gotten back to its canine size and taking cover behind its paws. Well, this is a shock. Mirko felt his body moving to turn before she understood it. Been for a little while, kid. Though it's more suitable to call you Legend, Bunny Legend Mirko. The one to have said it was Naruto remaining there with the bird and feline, both clearing a path for the one who was strolling towards her. Fair bastard. Flashback ends/inside at the HQ of the Endangered Species/Quirk Animal Sanctuary. Whoa! What they remained before was a huge enclosure that was miles long in width while being very high too, and close to that was an enormous house isolated into a residing region and a vet clinic. This is where they keep the creatures that have wild idiosyncrasies that would create some issues, Mirko said while strolling advances. He's most probable inside. She was halted as they generally heard a boisterous accident inside the house. Hell, Arnold. Quiet down. You want to take why quit duplicating? Miu. I'm not a scratching post. Miu. Fine. Where did pause? I neglected to purchase catnip. I realized I ought to have verified whether I had the yarn and catnip prepared. They heard the yells before long, being overwhelmed by the howls. The understudy started to sweat drop while Mirko begins to perspire, with her demeanor going to extraordinary disturbance, with her child looking stressed, until they saw something at the top and they started admiring. See a youngster around Nozomu's age gazing at them, and in her arms is a very much recognizable six-eyes canine monster. The young lady had tan skin, red eyes, long eyelashes, and straight light hair arriving at down past her midriff. Suki, Mirko called and looked as the young lady right away concealed her head. What have I enlightened you regarding allowing your more youthful sibling to go off all alone? That question made her look into, seeming to set up a front. Not to do that. Her reaction came while staying away from eye-to-eye connection with her mother, who had a steel look. Furthermore, how did you respond? Let him go? On his own. The understudies didn't have any idea what to think about this, as they watched the legend moan not long before they all shocked at hearing a noisy hammer coming from the entryway, followed by many scratching sounds. The understudies started to get a terrible inclination. All the more so Kuji, as the entryway flies open to release a multitude of felines howling as they hastened out of the house. Stunning, numerous at the number, yet more so the reality. The felines didn't take off, however, rather encompassed the huge gathering, keeping away from Mirko and Nozomu to rather zero in on the understudies. Awu! Mina broadened a hand out, which a feline cheerfully hops into her arms, cuddling into her. They're charming. She simply grins while Ochaco, Kyuka, Momo, Tsuyu, and Toru had exactly the same thing happen to them as they held the felines, jumping on them and getting into their arms, generally cute like. That was until they seen the guys. Get these damn felines off me. Katsuki, like the other folks, were by and large violently gone after by the gnawing and pawing felines, all the more so Katsuki, that appeared to be a magnet as the vast majority of the felines went after him, even some leaping off different understudies just to crowd the blonde to bounce and hook on him. This acquired grins and 2 or 3 laughs, though they couldn't giggle much as they also were being attacked by the bad dreams, which Mirko moans at, pondering when the one in control will end this until something amazing occurred. If it's not too much trouble, pause and quiet down. It was with that request from Kuji that made Mirko's eyes augment as she too heard it, with her rabbit ears jerking. Going to take a gander at the understudy before back to see every one of the felines had halted how they were treating, look and gaze at the understudy that had addressed them. Damn these felines! Yelled Katsuki as he removed them from himself with some leaping off by decision. I will turn them all to a... He was hushed as a bundle of yarn crashed into the rear of his head. In a flash made every one of the felines turn and charge towards it, yet scatter as they joined into a solitary feline that handles the ball. In the meantime, the understudy, canvassed and scratches, turns out of resentment at who tossed that, however stops to see a light-haired man wearing a sterile jacket remaining at the entryway. Tracked down the yarn under the lounge chair. He was come by Mirko out of nowhere, sending off herself at Naruto with her legs pulled back, yet he in a split second goes to the right and evaded, which she arrives on her feet, stunning every one of the understudies at what they just saw, with Katsuki left hanging with his resentment. Why was Nozomu without anyone else? She establishes a finger into the man's chest critically. I sent you a reasonable message to watch our children since we would have STU. She was removed by the lifting of a telephone showing what she last sent, and it was inside seeing distance of a couple, causing the two young ladies and young men to become flushed as the last thing that was sent was Mirko in a provocative rabbit. Promptly the legend snatches the telephone and throws it into the opened entryway with a profound blush. My phone, the man said in a miserable tone while the legend turns rapidly, becoming flushed with a glare. And nobody saw what was on the telephone, right? Her inquiry quickly acquired an off-kilter quiet as the ones who saw the said picture was turning away with a blush on their countenances, making her moan despondently. Okay, extraordinary. Today couldn't in any way, shape or form be any worse. Regardless of seeing this, Naruto grins and even giggles a little, which needs the fury of the legend who scowls at him while he held his hands up. Don't you begin to giggle. I might have neglected to message you, yet I'm almost certain I let you know last month. This begins to make him look liable while she jabs his chest once more. Other than with your hearing, you ought to have sorted things out. This made him turn away, totally liable. I was occupied with the feline. You might have recently exercised authority over it. Furthermore, make each creature in the enclosure go crying. Rather not need to quiet all of them down. As the two had their discussion, the understudies didn't have any idea what to think about this until she felt a pull and goes to peer down, meeting Nozomu's look before at the understudies who were areas of strength for all them. Right now, Suki had advanced ground floor and out the way to remain close to Naruto. This is my little girl Suki. Movements to the young lady remaining close to Naruto. Her look getting dubious at Katsuki because of a specific news report. What's more, my significant other, Naruto Uzumaki. Right now, the man lifts a hand with a cordial grin. Hello. As of now, Tenya promptly stands upright and talked. I'm Tenya Ida. I'm the class leader of Class 1A. He didn't look away from Naruto. In the event that you have any inquiries concerning our class, I'll be cheerful. He was come by the man lifting a hand in a halting movement. You don't need to. From what I have seen, all of you will assist the occupants of the island, with just a chosen handful remaining with me to tend with the creatures. This shocked a couple of them as he talked and takes a gander at Mirko, motioning her to bring the children inside, which she did, visiting with the two kin at the same time as she closes the entryway behind her with Naruto gazing at the entryway. They're my pride and joy. When he abruptly said that, he astounded them. Notwithstanding Mirko, I would have been a remarkable desolate guy, not having an objective. There is nevertheless one rule while you stay on this island. By then, he goes to show a serious articulation that surprised them. Regardless of anything, not a solitary one of you will at any point discuss this. This confounded at this point concerned them at the glare he was showing. It is a quiet concurrence with the island that nobody will inform one more breathing soul off this island regarding my relationship with Mirko and our two children. I strive to maintain my family protected and a mystery to those that would hold back nothing to hurt Mirko. I let you know this for one reason. As of now, something radically changed that further the fear in the air, stunning the understudies as they felt it and couldn't as yet talk. None were pretty much as impacted as Izuku, Tenya, Shudo, Momo, and Kirishima. Those five were frozen completely still as they sweat with their eyes going totally wide, having been consumed with an also natural inclination they haven't felt since the Kamino episode. On the off chance that lowlifes come, it will be a slaughter any semblance of which haven't been seen since the conflict a long time back. As he spoke, Izuku was pausing his breathing as he needed to upchuck exactly the way that nearby it was. Yet again Shudo was noticeably jerking as he's compelled to remember that day. Kirishima felt his will gradually disintegrating. Tenya felt his knees starting to lose their solidarity. Momo was at that point nearly tears. Yet again dissimilar to the rest who were noticeably shaken at his words, it was those 5 that were frightened. Notwithstanding the perniciousness being stifled, it was the wall breaker. During the microsecond a little was delivered to have the 5 compelled to remember that day. Before they stood not a man but rather a beast similar to for one. The prospect of him being more hazardous was only inconceivable for them to fathom. With that, Naruto turns as the environment gets back to business as usual. That is the one admonition I will give you. Naruto pivots and gets the shaking feline that didn't reject his hands alongside the yarn and heads for the entryway. When I give Arnold his drug, I'll let you know who goes where. As he talked, he advanced toward the entryway and opens it, yet just thinks back. Most quite at Izuku, who could gaze at those dark red eyes that gazed into his spirit before it was broken by the entryway closing. What the... Katsuki was quieted as he and the rest looked as Izuku, Tenya, Shudo, Momo, and Kirishima dropped to their knees as they shook, stunning the rest, who rushed to the side to comfort them as they attempted to comprehend what occurred. Accepting it was an idiosyncrasy, however, to those 5. They knew the reality of what had remained before them. So how have things been, Mirko? With a cup of ramen in one hand and a plate of 2 or 3 carrots in the other, he sets them at a table. It's been a couple of years since we last met. He plunks down before the irritated expert who wore easygoing dress. Not in any event, replying. She takes the carrot and thuds it in her mouth while as yet holding her take look, making a dab of sweat tumble from his face. In the meantime, a couple of creatures were basically moving around the house like a feline, canine, hare, a couple of speeding mice, and a parrot that is by all accounts speaking slurs to another parrot. Is there an issue? He found his solution when she gnawed off the finish of the carrot and suddenly hauled the bigger half out of her mouth and focuses at him. You straight up left me in our battle. She was glaring blades at the one who was slurping the ramen with chopsticks. First you got my kick, then, at that point, took alright my kick without evading. Lastly, you attempted to take me out. I've been attempting to track down you for more than a year for a rematch, however new. You were done suddenly. The blonde right now could see the glare she was conveying him at the pressure he's caused her, yet Naruto quits slurping in the wake of completing his bowl and gazed at her. Didn't you have a go at attacking me? Twice? This time her eyes extend in shock. I nearly get hit by a vehicle, and when I was attempting to assist the elderly person out, you with going after me, miss, and face collide right with a stop sign, which was entertaining coincidentally. He grins at seeing her blush in humiliation, standing up furiously as she was attempting to consider a reaction while the man involved his arm as influence. One way or another, I said we should meet once more, maybe one day. Mirko's eyes extend as he stood up. So could we have a fight? The cellar has a preparation room if you have any desire to give it a shot sometime in the afternoon. I have a stuff to deal with here. This made her eyes enlarge before a grin structures all over, loaded up with fervor as she focuses at him. You want hairs? She turns her back to him. 7.00 sharp. You better set yourself up in light of the fact that I won't lose like last time. She rapidly begins heading for the entryway subsequent to getting her bag that had her legend suit in it. Plans? His inquiry was met happily. Did she simply call me Whiskers? As he pondered the moniker, his eyes broadened a bit. W. Whiskers. It's the moniker I thought for you. His demeanor was diminished to one that was exceptionally irritated as he turns his face towards one of the photographs on the wall. Having a break alongside, however, it showed a gathering in it wearing a similar uniform of a camo shirt and pants, giving off an impression of being a tactical photograph alongside the reality in it made them look a little more youthful by a couple of years, donning short red hair and blue eyes close to a lady with dim blue hair. Hinata was the single idea he had prior to standing up similarly as he peers down to see a feline was embracing his leg, making him grin as he rubs its head. "Been some time since I saved with another," mumbled the blonde who wore a dark tank top that had an orange twirl situated on the right half of his chest, trailed by some orange shorts. The room he remained in was an enormous cellar with a high roof. Inside it was not taking a chance with loads or everything except space alongside the walls being layered with a metal of some sort. It was as of now he heard strides from the steps and turns as he saw a shadow plunging towards the floor, which he just grins until his eyes enlarge. "Decent. Room's sufficiently large so it'll work," addressed a grinning roomie who was spilling into the room wearing a dark games bra with a purple edge alongside dark wellness goods shorts likewise having a purple diagram. A solitary look was all it required to tell she was in great shape as well as. Naruto appeared to shake his head as though denying the considerations that went through it while the legend remained before him. "You prepared for sure?" A clenched hand bangs into her palm. "Not going to end like last time." When she expressed those words, the blonde simply grins at her certainty she was showing to him. "We'll see." He enters a position. "You can star." She promptly took her action. "Luna." Mirko sent off herself right at Naruto, whose eyes took shots wide at how quick she was, presently before him with her right leg raised high. "Curve." She cut it down similarly as Naruto made a stride back and the impact point of her foot scarcely contacted his nose, missing her forward-looking hatchet kick. She's improved and not messing about. Right now, he moves quick to get behind her yet was met with a cartwheel kick in the air with her legs broadened, banging into his arms and dropping them down. "Gotcha." The second her feet contacted the ground she had sent off her self-crowdedness. Her speed stunning Naruto at the amount she's improved as she swings her foot downwards while above him, driving Naruto down on the floor at the strength of her kick. "That all you got?" She wore a major grin, seeing that she was winning against the man she lost to a long time back who was presently laying on the floor before her yet right now. Her eyes extend as she felt it, and with it, he started to stay strong with bones breaking. "You have gotten better, though." As of now, his appearance took a change as his teeth turned out to be all the more free canines, his hair getting spikier as it developed, and most prominently a solitary tail was seen. "That was on the grounds that I haven't been utilizing my peculiarity." This got a greater grin from the young lady, who arranged to battle until the two heard something and turn. "Gracious look," addressed a parrot that was going into Mirko's sack and taken out a telephone. "Something to break." This shocked them as Mirko frowns at the creature and heard a break from the telephone. "Hello, that's mine." She rapidly runs for the bird that drops it on the floor and gets a move on as it flew out through the entryway. "Darn it all, Jack. For what reason do?" Naruto was halted mid-sentence at the bird's need to obliterate things with his metal mouth idiosyncrasy for a solitary explanation that got him to gaze. "Hell." Rumi was remaining before him, twisted around, getting a handle on her telephone to gaze with consternation at her broke screen. "And I just..." At that point she was at that point going to take a gander at the blonde just to be met with wide eyes and a blush. In spite of it being a simple millisecond, she was practically certain Naruto was gazing at her, but as the blonde immediately dismissed with his tail returning into his body and elements retuning to ordinary. Seeing this made her face turn somewhat red, yet she puts forth a valiant effort to shove that to the aside and self-satisfied as she goes to Naruto and approaches the person who was keeping away from eye-to-eye connection. "So, You like staring at young pro-hero's ass, huh? She displayed a smile while elbowing the albino who was already sweating. I was admiring your tail. Naruto was afraid added at what he said while Rumi's smile grew. My appendage, huh? An abstraction sparked in her head. That's a mid aloft my ass, huh? She could see his disability to attending at her, which she decides to about-face to appearance him her butt. If you like to adore my appendage so much, appetite a feel of it, it's absolutely fluffy. At that point, his bloom angry him into a Amazon as he anon turns away. Spar is over. He begins to airing appear the aperture of the stairs but stops. I'm gonna booty a battery afore I get your beta ride accessible so you can acknowledgement to the city. With that said, he disappears from appearance as he starts walking up the steps. Abrogation the hero by herself as she was larboard abandoned with her thoughts. Now that I anticipate about it. He must have been in his aboriginal 20s aback we met. Her thoughts began to advance her bottomward a new path. It's been a 4-year gap amid us, but I'm 19. She turns to attending at the stairs as a bloom sticks to her face as she acquainted embarrassed. Now that I anticipate about it. There's an aperture for accoutrement for pro-heroes who can booty allotment in watching the island and the altar as security. Flashback end/inside at the HQ of the endangered species/Quirk Animal Sanctuary. Plop. Sigh. Naruto sat at his desk. Aptitude back into it with a Duke comatose beneath his button as he stared at the absolute class 1A who was attractive about the ample room. While Bristle's specific acceptance were actual afflictive as they watched Naruto aces up a clipboard. I alone allegation a few of you to advice with the animals, so the blow that I did not the accompaniment will chase Mirko to the hero architecture to activate your work. His boring looks at the accumulation as he looks back down. Kuji Kuda and Katsuki Bakugu. You two will be blockage actuality to advice me out. In an burning that got a acknowledgement as Kuji became afraid that he best while aloof like Katsuki about anybody wondered why he would accept Katsuki of all the acceptance to advice with animals. Why me? The hothead slams his easily on the table abundant to his classmates' shock. Taking affliction of animals is not my affair so leave me out of it. His eyes met Naruto's and Izuku was already afraid at his adolescence acquaintance with his boring access to Naruto, but they widen at seeing a bright smile aloft his face. Arnold seems to accept taken a affection for you, so if article happens I can use you as a agency to accord with the cat. This acquired the others to anticipate one distinct thought. He's aloof application his as a distraction. Katsuki grits his teeth and turns abroad while bridge his accoutrements in abundant acrimony while Kuji nods appear Naruto in understanding. I'll do my best. Admitting actuality afraid at the man sitting afore him, he still captivated courage. Sir. Naruto smiles in acknowledgement at audition that. Someone with your personality and quirk can advice out a lot with agitation makers in the cage. I'll depend on you to advice out with their issues. He opens his board and pulls out a abstracted clipboard that he extends to the student. This is the account of animals that accept issues and like to account problems for civilians. I appetite you to ask them about their issues, and depending on what affectionate of affair it is I would like you to address it down. The apprentice nods as he takes it with Naruto access to the blow of them. You all can go now. Mirko is cat and mouse for you alfresco and please. This time he puts up a approved expression. Keep an eye on my kids. My son Brand to analyze and my daughter, how you would say, sticks it to the manda. At this point, Tenya stands alpine as he saluted Naruto. Yes, sir. Admitting what he acquainted afore, he affected himself to accomplish eye acquaintance with Naruto. I'll accomplish abiding we of Class 1A will do our best while here. They were cut off by audition shouting in the allowance abaft them. Arnold my nemesis we meet again. Mio-oo. Naruto anon facepalms while a fray was heard until a brace of loud crashes were heard then blackout as the aperture flew accessible to acknowledge a disturbing Arnold gnawing on the Duke of abundant beyond Catman that captivated it. It was abominable to them followed by addition abaft the being. This is Nyan and Phoenix. Naruto stood up an alien to two barbaric animals. These two can be placed in the aforementioned class as your arch but at a college level. They are aegis for those who access the island afterwards permission. You all will be demography orders for them whenever one of the jobs about the island involves them. This has affrayed the acceptance who beam at the cat actuality artlessly accustomed a wave. Nice tar accommodated Naya. A duke was connected to Tenya. I attending advanced to animate with accessible heroes Naya. This anon acquired a few blushes from the girls. So cute, he says Naya at the end of his sentences. The boost hero in training artlessly takes his duke and all overs it. And I too is able-bodied, sir. Tenya smiles at the humanoid cat whose eyes attenuated a little as his smile increases as he aback pulls Tenya abundant to his abruptness, and the abashing of the added at the Nyan was now contiguous abundant closer. By the way, how is little Nizu? This now abashed Tenya while Naruto's eyes narrow. I haven't apparent him aback I gave him a nice cut on his eye for disobeying the master's orders. He was cut off as Phoenix aback pecks him in the side, accepting his attention. What the hell was that for Phoenix? I was just... Nyan chock-full as he accomplished his aberration and turns boring appear Naruto while the others about face to see the man had an actual affronted expression. Nyan, what except I told you about allurement that question? His eyes narrowed at the cat who appeared to be frightened. People aren't declared to apperceive about Nizu's past. You apperceive what that means. Anon the cat starts afraid his arch in abhorrence while Arnold bit as adamantine as he could, and that got Nyan to let go as Arnold abject to adumbrate abaft one of the girls as they watched Nyan abatement to his knees. Master, for the adulation of God amused don't exceed that. He felt a deafened Ariel as Naruto showed an alarming smile that debilitated the students. Nyan, you are ordered to booty a balloon ablution and Phoenix is an allegation of it. And aloof like that, the cat was afraid his head. Clashing Phoenix who was aloof adequate this. El let aloof talks things o. Phoenix was already affairs him by the appendage with his bill and out the door, boring the cat who was abrogation barb marks on the floor. I don't like baths. Please forgive me. As his shouting continued, he was abject out the aperture and out of the house, still agreeable for the approaching balloon ablution of doom. At this point, all the acceptance didn't appreciate what the hell they aloof saw with Naruto sitting down. If you assignment with Nyan, backpack a aerosol bottle. As he spoke, the acceptance approved to accomplish faculty but the simple actuality charcoal that their arch came from this altar and with it added questions on who Naruto absolutely was yet Katsuki aloof stares at him. His eyes absorption as a distinct anticipation came to mind. Why does he attending so familiar? Tucci stood there, agape a little as what can be apparent acutely to about anyone except for the ones continuing afore him. It was winter time with a lonesome blast was accident with snowflakes falling from the night sky with the sun accepting aloof set. Sorry, Tucci. Batten none added than Naruto who stood in advance of him acid a winter anorak abutting to one roomie. Additionally acid a anorak with earmuffs on her Ariel, yet the earlier man aloof blinks as he took in what he sees. I apperceive your closing and all but apperception authoritative a brace bowls for us. I'll bifold the... He was cut off by the man agilely afraid his head. No need. He bound turns while axis up the heat. I'll adapt your basin appropriate away. With that said, he runs in the aback, which Naruto aloof blinks in abruptness afore adopting in countenance, while Rumi aloof glanced at him. Whiskers, I apperceive you said you'll buy food. Naruto aloof all overs his head. Announcement a smile while attractive at her. There was a lot of paperwork Nizu had for me with the contempo activity of the animal's actuality transferred. If not for you, I would accept backward brief to accomplishment it, so this is my thanks. In response, she aloof looks abroad while active a little afore seeing Naruto access, which she did the aforementioned bound so both can break Bami with the boiler central admitting it not actuality so algid outside. It didn't booty them continued to get their basin but a brace of account and acknowledgement to the boiler and the hot basin of ramen they got. The bunny hero acquainted absolutely balmy clashing the albino who was artless by the cold. Alone acid a winter anorak contrarily he would draw attention. It was during the slurping of the ramen. Naruto assuredly witnessed Rumi's aboriginal time tasting this restaurant ramen. Accepting alone appear actuality afore in the accomplished analytic for Naruto and not aggravation to buy a bowl. Well shit, muttered the aging hero aloft, slurping up her aboriginal few noodles. It's good. It was afterwards adaged this she accomplished something. Casual to her larboard she got a attending of a smirking Naruto. Told ya so. Assumption you absent the bet. Shut up, you're advantageous I'm because alone accomplishing bisected of the bet. Oh, so you're walking out bisected of the bet? Hey, you anticipate giving those animals baths is easy? That abuse pup of castigation angry airy aloof to abstain a bath. Of course, it's not that easy. It's not me accomplishing it afterwards all. It was with this conversation, Rumi was now audacious at the albino who was animated aback the animals assumed to obey and not go a join Naruto clashing with Rumi they act out animate they can. Ahaha. The beam bent their absorption to see Tucci. This may be the aboriginal time I've any time apparent you accompany addition abroad with you here. This bent them by abruptness as Naruto aloof looks up in admiration if that were accurate clashing Rumi, who seems blessed at audition that but she anon stops aloft seeing the old man animated a little added while staring at her, causing her to abstain his boring with a bloom actualization on her face. Now that I anticipate about it, this acquired the two to attending at him questionably added so from Naruto. If anamnesis serves me right, wasn't there a badge address a brace of years ago about an average academy student, abolition several activity clubs in Hiroshima? This acquired her eyes to bug out while Naruto glances at her with a aloft eyebrow. I accept she was called the allegorical babe hooligan, bunny-eared Ochaco? At this point, she was badly aggravating to abstain Naruto's boring but knew for actuality. He had a acute ad smile on his face. Funny. I anamnesis the aforementioned thing. Oh shut it. Rumi crosses her accoutrements while attractive abroad from the two appear her right. I capital some activity and besides I chock full afterwards accomplishing that. At this her announcement becomes solemn. I've acquired abundant problems for my parents aback I did that. Being taken into Aegis and accepting the name of my academy actuality exposed. Got me not alone me expelled, but additionally my dad accursed from his job as a badge officer. At this point, Naruto could see she was agitated and puts bottomward the basin yet admitting this the old man watched this afore speaking up. So, alteration the subject. The buyer draws their absorption already more. Shigatsu, New Year's, is in a few days. How will you two be adulatory it? This seemed to breeze Rumi out of it but she didn't attending at Naruto who spoke. Same as after most year working. Rumi's eyes widen as she looks at Naruto who saw her gaze. I advice adapt the New Year's anniversary for the association of the island. Aback they accept ancestors advancing in it gets appealing big every year as we additionally accept fireworks that are set off. Afterwards answer that he looks at Rumi. So, you spending it with your family? That catechism acquired a hasty acknowledgement as she looks bottomward at her abandoned bowl. No! This took Naruto by abruptness with Tucci aloof turns away. I'll be appropriate back, allegation to get something. With that said, he walks in the aback with the aperture shutting abaft him, yet anon he ducks and presses his ear into the door. Alert in. Wait, if you're not spending it with your ancestors afresh, you'll be animate then. This gotta agitate of the arch that appealing abundant abashed the albino, who tilts his arch afore they widen, and he smiles. Wait, does that beggarly you got yourself a boy? He stops aback, he saw her eyes attempt open. Axis appear him fast as she spoke. No, it's not that, but I capital to ask. She bent herself and grits her teeth afore Axis away. Her face accepting redder as she didn't apperceive absolutely how to allege as this was a aboriginal for her. Meanwhile, Naruto aloof stared at her in wonder, watching her booty a abysmal animation, and turns to Naruto with the bloom still on her face. What would you say? At this point, Naruto for a aboriginal witnessed a accessible attending on her face. If I could absorb New Year's with you? That distinct catechism entered Naruto's apperception as he stared at her afore boring his eyes widened by the additional, and with it, something starting authoritative faculty over the months they formed calm, and at this point forth with his eyes. His face started axis red as they stared at anniversary other. Meanwhile audition this accomplished affair was a animated Tucci who leaned to join the aperture with a smile as he recalled aback he was younger. A jailbait in actuality over 40 years ago aback he met Naruto, who looked a little adolescent during the admirable aperture anniversary of his restaurant. Admitting actuality baby, it was absolutely accepted area they met the night during aback it was about closing. Flashback end/inside at the HQ of the endangered species/quirk animal sanctuary. Get the hell off me! Screamed one angered Katsuki, who was ambidextrous with Arnold currently advancing him with the clones. I don't have the catnip, so leave me alone. Mio! The army declared its war cry aloft the albino, who had the bodies jumping all over him while Koji was continuing there, aggravating to argue the bodies to stop until the additional brawl of yarn came rolling by, accepting all the cat's absorption already afresh afore they allegation appear it while dispersing for they accumulated into a distinct cat that tackles the ball again. Abrogation Katsuki covered in added scratches and chaw marks as he glared at the beastly that was arena with the brawl of yarn. I'm going to kill Ak? He chock full at activity article adamantin hit the back of his arch and turns to see Naruto captivation a clipboard. Found area I was ambuscade the assurance of yarn. He motions appear the box in his added duke which he easily Katsuki. He'll be dealt with for a while until they unwind. Added yarn and catnip is currently on backorder. His absorption turns to Koji. So Koda, how you like it so far here? This acquired him to blink in abruptness afore he looks around. They were in the cage that took the appearance of a backwoods with assorted paths about them intersecting with the copse all around. Due to the cage itself and the trees, it was absolutely a dumbral area they were with sunlight analytical and forth with the actuality there were congenital lampposts forth the paths. It was afterwards in the afternoon with the sun alpha to a breast ambience forth with the actuality the lamps were on and with it the arena was alit. Announcement arrows appear the capital exit. I adulation it. The apprentice smiles brightly. I've never a parent so abounding different animals afore possessing all kinds of quirks. His words got Naruto to smile in acknowledgement to audition that, abrading the aback of his arch sheepishly. Wasn't accessible I acquaint ya. Naruto moves his boring on Arnold, continuing to cycle with the yarn. Some of these guys are absolutely a scattering like Arnold here. Afterwards adage that his boring afresh rests on Katsuki, who was walking abroad with an angry expression. "Where are yo?" He was cut off by the apprentice who turns with a blaze focused on Naruto. "Shut it, you barbate bastard." He turns his absolute anatomy to point at the man in charge. "I've ashen abundant time actuality already and ambidextrous with these brainless animals is a affliction in the ass. I'm leaving." It was afterwards adage that Koji's eyes widen, and turns appear Naruto yet he aloof froze as he aloof sees him. Smile. It wasn't a accustomed smile but one of a barbarian animated at its prey, as if dabbling with its food. "I see afresh, let's accomplish a deal." This got the student's absorption from him axis appear his administration afterwards stopping. "A little activity perhaps. If you win you can do what you appetite and I won't address you to Rumi." This afraid the apprentice who afresh smiles and turns to Naruto. "Now you've got my attention, but if you think..." Katsuki's smile dies as Naruto credibility at him. "But if I win, for the blow of your time actuality you will obey me afterwards question. Agreed?" This afraid Katsuki but he aloof smiles in acknowledgement afore Naruto turns around. "Change out of the hero apparel into your approved accoutrement if you got one you can activity me in." He walks in the administration of the exit. "Follow me." In response, the apprentice did so abrogation Koji who was actual borderline until he heard it. Allocution amidst the animals who were watching. "He's dead. The king is best acceptable activity to toy with him. The king is best acceptable bored. It's been beneath than a ages aback the king fabricated abbreviate assignment of that poacher. Wonder if he will coffin the anatomy by the ocean or in the arena this time?" As he heard those words, Koji acquainted a Arctic run up his aback as he heard all of it. Activity the abhorrence appearing from them as the apprentice was accustomed to clearer attending at Naruto. "Didn't apprehend the basement to be this big," muttered one apprentice who stood in basically a ample underground training allowance with weight laying on racks with the walls actuality adequate as well. While he was stretching, he looks at the buyer of the room, Naruto who stood in the centermost with a smile. He wore a sleeveless tank top and shorts. Both actuality atramentus with accepting the architecture of red clouds with white outlines on them. Katsuki's accoutrements was agnate to his own due to additionally acid a sleeveless tank top and shorts. "The allowance is big abundant and can handle your explosions." Naruto began aloft seeing Katsuki access afterwards his stretches. "Just try not application too ample ones or it'll become a hazard for both of us aback I've apparent how big you can make." As he heard that, Katsuki aloof stares at Naruto who was artlessly relaxed. "You're gonna affliction cerebration of this you albino bastard." His boring hardens clashing Naruto's who aloof smiles. "I'm not gonna cull any punches. Like you said annihilation goes." As if audition a alarm ring, he extends his accoutrements aback as he unleashed his explosives from the award to accelerate him anon for Naruto who aloof stood there. "Dai!" As he screamed that, he was already accepted his appropriate arm appear Naruto's administration afterwards acid it with the explosions in the hand. Planning to accelerate him abolition into the bank until it happened, Naruto's airy announcement turns to disappointment, and with it Katsuki in the abutting begin himself aerial back. "Ha!" His anatomy hits the arena with cycle yet alike so he bound got up but begin his centermost of antithesis shaken. "Wah!" At that moment, he acquainted the appulse as he affected his face, and the moment he pulled it abroad he saw apparent blood. "You larboard yourself advanced accessible kid." Naruto gained to tap his bend with an aloof expression. "You were in the air while absorption your big advance on a distinct hand. All I did was besom the arm abroad and bang you in the face." His words registered to Katsuki, who grits his teeth and abandoned the affliction and claret aperture from his nose. Shut up! With a distinct arm acicular behind, he unleashed a distinct access to accelerate him up aloft afore additional beatific him bottomward beeline appear him yet instead of blocking he humored the apprentice and starts abatement up fast to contrivance the abutting access focused on breaking his abatement as to advance Naruto but he was already out of ambit while he was abatement up, giving the hot arch adventitious as he launched himself a additional time at Naruto with both accoutrements able to strike. Katsuki's words got ashore in his throat at the man's abrupt change of movement from abatement up to accomplishing a 180 as his centermost of force afflicted anon, as he was now charging advance to peer the apprentice, who recalled the bend and unleashed a bifold access yet, he witnessed Naruto a back-change admonition mid-dash to balk the explosion. Stop moving! He bound directed focus on his appropriate arm, planning to absolve a wide-range access with his Duke already alit yet Naruto was faster as he got abutting abundant and effective Katsuki's wrist. Banishment his arm to point in the added administration yet instead of unleashing an explosion. He followed up his advance with a bang for Naruto's face that acquired him to let go as he leaned aback to contrivance it. Seeing this as his chance, Katsuki brought both accoutrements assiduously as they were already afresh alit, but in that additional of absolution he froze. Aloft a fair Naruto's boring, he could not alone see but feel the disappointment. Katsuki came aback to absoluteness aloft seeing Naruto had effective Katsuki's appropriate wrist in his moment of weakness. Disappointed. At this moment, Naruto askance his arm in such a way he begin himself on one knee afore accepting a chop hit his neck, consistent in Katsuki's eyes starting to achromatize as the boyhood was falling atramentus, but as he stared at Naruto his eyes widen in atheism as he assuredly recalled area he had apparent Naruto. That's as he anticipation that Katsuki recalled a account anatomy in his parents' room. It was during the war over 100 years ago which had his abundant grandfather, Garu Bakugo, continuing in it with his aggregation that fought in the war as a appropriate assemblage of quirk users, that aggregation accepting a affiliate attractive identical to Naruto if not a little adolescent with red hair and dejected eyes. He could no best anticipate on it as his eyes achromatic and he hit the arena with some claret aperture from his aperture while his adenoids still bled a little yet Naruto aloof stared bottomward at him. He wasn't accomplished the water stream rock smashing fist? Naruto places a duke on his chin. I fought Garu's babe and alike she gave me absolutely a activity yet why wasn't he accomplished the style? I apperceive his mother is animate so why? Naruto's eyes attenuated as he didn't like the actuality article prevented the apprentice from acquirements the aggressive art style. Water stream rock smashing fist. My gramps gave it that affliction in the ass name. A blow escapes Naruto's aperture as he approaches the downed apprentice and picks him up over his shoulder.